Hi everyone, welcome to Gadgets with Gurman. I'm Mark, and today we have a really cool product to show you. It's a security camera. This right here is Nest's new Nest IQ indoor security camera. If it looks familiar, it's because it has the same design as the outdoor Nest security camera that the company launched last year. For those unfamiliar, Nest, they're the ones behind that Nest thermostat, sort of like the iPod or iPhone of digital thermostats. They're owned by Alphabet's Google now, and they're doing more than thermostats. They're doing cameras and all sorts of stuff. But first to my takeaway about this, it has a really slick design. It's really nice inside and out. It has some really high quality features. But at $300, and for a product that people might want multiples of these, that's a lot of money. So even with all the smarts and the cool design, is it the right security camera for your home? We'll dive into that throughout the show, so please send your questions and comments in throughout the episode, and we'll address those live. So I really don't think there's a better looking security camera, and let's zoom in on here to take a closer look at it. So you can see, this looks like a security camera that maybe Apple would design, right? It's white, it has, a black lens on the front, it contrasts really well, it looks really good, and it's hefty too, right? So it weighs a lot, so it could stay in place. It's not too heavy to carry, but it's heavy in the sense that it might be something that won't be able to be easily knocked over with air conditioning if it gets windy in your house. It feels really secure and stable, and like it's packed to the gills with lots of technology. Let's spin it around here, and you can see the swivel here. For those Apple fans out there, this might remind you of the design of the iMac G3 from way back in the day, where it had this camera, or where on that it had the monitor that can swivel up and down, side to side, and this can really go in all directions. So if you need to point up, you can point up. If you need to point down, you can point down, left, right, center, whatever you want. And the stand here is pretty secure too. Now, something really cool about this is the bottom. So the bottom, you have this QR code here. And what's really cool, and HomeKit does something similar in the Home app on iPhones these days, is that in order to set this thing up, you basically take a picture of the QR code with the Nest app, where you set up the camera and view your camera feeds, and then it sets up pretty quickly and instantly. So let's zoom back out here, put this back on the table, and take a deeper look at the Nest Cam IQ. So the most important new addition to this Nest camera over the other previous cameras that Nest has done, the camera for the outdoor with that same design, is that it actually shoots in 4K. So this lens in particular is a 4K lens. 4K is this high quality type of video. It's a step above 1080p. Recent iPhones can shoot 4K video, Samsung phones and high-end digital cameras and video camcorders. But for a security camera, 4K is actually pretty new. Now, you might have seen lots of grainy footage of security camera footage, maybe on the news, someone breaking into a place. Now, the 4K is designed to sort of steer around that, right? A lot of times when you have a security camera, you might want to zoom in deep to see what's going on in a little bit of a deeper sense, a more detailed look at what's going on in your footage. Now, that's what the deeper zoom is for. That's what the 4K is for, to enable that deeper zoom. When you export the video or stream the video, it doesn't come in 4K, which is a really big file size. But what they do with that extra quality is it allows you to zoom in with less blur. So one thing I want to do here is sort of demo this feature. It's called Super Sight. So take a look at our monitor back here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch to zoom here. And we have the New York skyline. It's real, trust me, New York skyline right here. It's actually just a picture. And it sort of just zooms in on that. And you can see it takes a little bit to calibrate. But the zoom is actually really detailed. And you can zoom back out here. Now, the Nest actually goes a little bit further than that. It goes a step farther. And let's zoom back out here. It goes a step farther because it can capture and recognize people in an image as you walk by, and it could automatically track with the wide-angle lens. The head of the camera doesn't move itself, but the wide-angle lens is so wide and it captures so much, it could actually pan automatically. So if someone walks into a frame, it will lock right on them as they're walking by, and it will track them. It will follow them, the camera lens, as they're walking by in the frame, and zoom into them while doing it. It's actually a really cool concept, and if you're trying to zoom into something automatically, it will do that. Now, another really cool feature is that the Nest IQ, and some other cameras from Nest have done this in the past, it could actually determine specific people in the frame. So for example, if I walked into the frame, since it recognizes me and I set this up, I'll get a push notification alert on my phone, as well as an email if I so choose, or multiple emails if I so choose, that tells me that I walked into the frame. It's a good way if you're a parent and you have kids and you want to know that, Mark came home from school or Ryan is back from the gym, that you can Zoom or can send you a notification telling them that they're home. Sort of like Find My iPhone on steroids type of thing, including picture evidence. Or if there's someone who walks into the frame that you don't want in the frame, it can also tell you that they're there. And we have a bunch of questions coming in here about the Nest IQ. Does this use an internet connection, and does it connect to your phone via Wi-Fi? Those are two good questions. They both go hand in hand. Yes, it uses an internet connection. And to answer the follow-up question, does it connect your phone via Wi-Fi? No. So actually, I'm on cellular right now with this iPhone and on a different Wi-Fi network with the Nest Cam. So unlike other services where you have to be on the same Wi-Fi network in order to connect the actual device to the phone, you can be halfway across the world while still seeing what this camera system is showing you. So you don't need to be on the same network. Now, that's an interesting point as well, because streaming that deeper zoom footage, even at that 1080p resolution, because it's scaled down from 4K, uses a lot of bandwidth. Now, when you set this thing up, there's a setting that shows you how many gigabytes estimated it will use during a 1-month period. So if you keep the Nest IQ on the highest quality video streaming and you have it constantly running 24 hours a day through the day and the night, capturing stuff, that will take up about 400 gigabytes of data per month, according to Nest. Now, 400 gigabytes of data, that might sound like a lot, but most Wi-Fi plans are either unlimited or cap out at thousands of gigabytes per month. So I really don't think that's an issue. If you think that's an issue for you, you can also downscale the quality. But I really think for most people, especially people who live in environments where they'll be buying cameras like this, I don't think that they would have an internet plan that would necessarily be capped so low. For one, I haven't really seen any Wi-Fi internet plans, given that we're not talking about cellular data here. We're talking about a Wi-Fi plan through your router at home. A lot of people just hook up their own Ethernets and set that up, so wouldn't be an issue. Another one coming in here, why is it so expensive? That's a very good question, and I personally think that this is really overpriced for a mass market product, if that's what Nest is trying to do. I don't see how people who just want 1, 2, or 3, or 4 of these in their home in every room would really want to drop over $1,000 for a security system like this. You might be able to get a complete alarm, security, wires, all sorts of in-depth security functionality in your home for a price like that, going from installation to the product. So I think this is a lot of money for what it is. It's almost half the price of an iPhone or a Samsung phone. So this is a lot of money for the utility it has. But to be fair, the equipment is very high tech, and some people might not even put a price tag on what this offers in terms of home security. But at the same time, there are realities where there's people who want to spend $300 on a camera. Those kinds of people don't come around all day. I particularly wish that it would have been a little cheaper, maybe at $200, like the older Nest security cameras. That might have been a better deal. But there is one deal going on right now. If you buy 2 of them, that's $500. You get $100 off the top, $50 on each unit. So, for some people, that might be a good way to, work around the high cost. But again, I don't think the $300 is really an approachable price for a security camera at this point. Another question coming in here, can you buy a whole house multicam setup that records locally for barely much more? Yes, you can. And that gets back to the special sauce of this thing, where it is internet connected, where it can stream the video, where it can do the edits, and there's lots of cool tricks, and we'll get into more of those a little bit later. But yes, there are solutions that would be about the same price, but again, those store locally and don't really integrate with your phone. More questions coming in here. What kinds of alerts does it send you? That's a good question. So it can show you face alerts, pet alerts, all sorts of alerts. And we can sort of jump in here and take a look at some of the settings. So if we go into notifications, you can see here, we go into the family room, people notifications, motion notifications. So you can set it. So let's say, for example, a motion notification. Now, when it senses any type of motion at all, doesn't really matter who it is or what it is, you select this up and it will send you, so maybe it's your pet, maybe it's someone opening the window, it can send you any motion in case. You can also set it up to have sound alerts, so there's actually built-in microphones on this device on the front where the lenses are, and if you select that button, it can actually determine other typical sounds that a security camera might hear. Here's a few of them. Other sounds, basically a catch-all category of any noise, a dog barking or a person talking. It's actually really cool. So if you want to know that, maybe your dog is a little distressed one day, you can know that. If you know a person's in the room talking, you can know that. And this thing also can record audio. And I want to dive into another cool feature of this thing. But first, for those just joining us, we're talking about the Nest IQ camera. It looks really great. It's like the iPhone of security cameras. It's very expensive, but at that price, is it the right solution for you? And we're taking a look at the answer for that during this episode. Now, back to the speakers and microphones. So these speakers and microphones on this camera are superior to the ones on the previous Nest indoor camera, as well as the ones on the outdoor camera that sort of looks the same. And you can put this in your living room, and you can be on your iPhone in your bedroom. And if you want to talk to the person that is in the living room, you can. You just talk to them, you press a button, it's an intercom button, and they'll start speaking. Now, it's like a very basic intercom system, like in an older building where you might have to hold the button down, you wait for the person to talk. It's very classic, but Nest does say, and this is one of our pro tips, that they are working on a software upgrade for release later this year, toward the end of the year, late summer, that allows you to have a phone-like conversation. So you can basically press a button, talk back and forth, so the two people can hold a conversation. It's actually very similar in concept to what Amazon has come out with recently with their Alexa chat service. You can have one Echo Dot in one room and an Amazon Echo Show in another room, the iPhone or an Android phone running the Echo app in yet another room, and you can all be talking to each other sort of like an intercom system. This is obviously a much more expensive version of that, but it's a nice feature to be included in such a security-based setup. So you don't have to get both devices. You can do it in this if you're already buying this sort of device. Now, I really think that it has a great combination of features and really nice hardware, cool software, cool app. But there is another catch besides that high $300 entry price point. You do need a cloud subscription to enable some of these really cool features. So if we dive into back into the app, you can go into Nest Aware. Now, Nest Aware is a subscription feature, and let's zoom in on the iPhone to take a deeper look at that. Now, Nest Aware is their cloud subscription feature, and right now when you buy the device, you get a little bit of a free trial, so I'm on that right now. And if you subscribe to it, you can enable things like the face alerts, continuous video history, activity zones, clips and time lapses, and the time lapse feature. Now let me dive into familiar face alerts. So familiar face alerts, obviously, if it sees me walking into the frame, it will be able to alert me. Activity zones, it can tell specific zones apart and only send you alerts for motion in those particular areas. And that's really convenient because of the wide angle lens nature of the product. Time lapse is really cool. Let's say you record a day of video and you want to see just when there was motion. It makes a time lapse out of it, and it will put blocks so you know when things happened, when there was motion, when there were people, when there was sound, and it makes a quick little video for you. It actually looks really cool. I saw a demo of it recently. Now let's zoom back out here and talk a little bit about continuous video history. Now, a security camera is only as beneficial as the camera images that it captures. Out of the box, this thing can record only 3 hours. So let's say you leave at 10 a.m., right? Something happens at 11 a.m. and you only get back at 3 p.m. So that's 4 hours between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. This thing only can store 3 hours at a time, right? So that means that amount of footage is all gone if you don't have a cloud subscription, which is really scary, but it's not unprecedented because most of these security cameras and digital doorbells that I've seen only work if you have the continuous cloud subscription, or only work for an extended period of time, or only cloud store those files for a long period of time if you subscribe. Now, they do have two plans. They have a plan for $100 a year and a plan for $300 a year. Now, the basic $100 a year plan stores 10 days of video at a time. That means you can store, the last 10 days and view it on all your devices. And the $300 plan does 30 days. Particularly, I think if something happens, you'll notice it and you'll want to look at your security camera to see what happened within a 10-day period. So I think for most people, that $100 a year plan is invaluable and is probably the better deal. But But if you're leaving for 2 months, you might want the the 30-day plan, buy multiples of those in order to have a longer viewing time. So it's really up to you if you want that cloud subscription. If you're someone who doesn't really need that and you want to use it for motion detection, face detection, and you don't really need a recording for more than 3 hours, you don't really need the package. But those other features are also part of it because out of the box it only has a free trial. Now, it's not unprecedented for them to charge extra. I just think it's a lot of money to particularly and specifically just pay $600 a year to get the camera itself plus the cloud subscription. And we have some more questions coming in here about the Nest IQ. What are the privacy risks here? Can this be hacked? Well, in this current world of technology, things can always get hacked, right? But I haven't seen any reports of that. I assume it's a secure system. You can probably look at their security white paper for more detail on that. Other privacy risks, I doubt there's any. Nest does throw up a message about there are some states that don't allow them to do face alerts, so it's actually not enabled in some states in the middle of the US. So if you're in one of those states, you might already know about that law, so take a look at that if you're considering this product. Another question here, does it have good facial recognition at night in the dark and night vision? Actually, yes, I saw a setting in there where it does have night vision and it has an infrared on the front in order to, understand who's in the image, what motion there is, and obviously the microphones will pick up sound at all times of the day. And here's another question coming in here. iOS 11 doesn't require hardware for HomeKit compatibility. Is Nest working on HomeKit support? I saw some reports a few weeks ago saying that Nest is in the very early stages of working on HomeKit support, but the company hasn't announced anything. They haven't even indicated if that would be coming soon. Not really necessary to have HomeKit with this thing. They have a really nice app. It says the weather, all sorts of stuff. I'll sort of do a quick demo here of the app itself. So let's zoom into the phone here. And you can see the Nest camera preview. It's sort of what's going on in front of me right now. You have your settings, your weather, what's going on in your home. And if you have other Nest products like the thermostats, they would all show up in here as well. And you can click it to get your feed. And this is the time-lapse feature that we talked about. And you can see the last 10 days here because I'm on the free trial. You click this, it'll show the different people it's recorded. I'm not going to show that, but you click talk and it will, you'll talk, you'll be able to talk to it, but you can't hold a phone-like conversation. But like I said, that feature is coming down the road in a software update. Does this immediately alert the police? No, I haven't seen any functionality of this calling the police automatically if it witnesses or sees something. That would be pretty cool, but I can imagine, responding to the earlier question, that there would be some significant privacy implications there about who wants the police coming based on what. It's a lot of different circumstances. So I don't think that's something that Nest would want to jump into with 2 feet. Another question coming in here, is it user-friendly? I think so, yeah. I mean, the app is pretty simple. It's been around for a few years. I've been playing with it. It's user-friendly. Setting it up is really a breeze. You have this cable here. You plug it into the wall. You plug it into the back here, and you just scan the QR code with the Nest app. You make an account. It was actually pretty seamless, I have to say. Some of these things are not so easy to set up, but in this case, I will give it Nest a hand here for making setup pretty easy and pretty intuitive. Does it save video on it? How much space does it have? It's a good question. This is a cloud storage-based product. So it's not streaming stored video on the device to the phone when you're accessing it. It's all stored in the cloud. So you get 3 hours by default for free. You get a 10-day viewing time out of the box with a free trial. But you can also upgrade full-time for $100 a year for that 10 days or full-time for $300 a year for 30 days. So those are great options for you if you want a lot of cloud storage of your video files. Another question coming in here, can you download the footage if needed for evidence? Yes, of course. You are able to you send it to your Nest account by clicking that button, and then you can export it from the phone or from your computer later and do whatever you want with it. It's a standard video file, and for those just joining us, while this does have a 4K lens, it doesn't actually store the footage in 4K. The 4K is used for that deeper zoom functionality, and what you do is you save it into 1080p, which is good enough for a lot of these things. In fact, 1080p is probably higher quality than a lot of the security cameras that are in stores and 7-Elevens right now and people's homes right now. So you get a lot for your money in terms of the video quality. I just think overall it's a very expensive niche category. Now, but in terms of the price, right, Nest still sells their old drop cam design cameras. It really doesn't look as good. It's not as fast, it's not as intuitive, but you can get 3 of those for the same price of 2 of these. So if you find it more valuable to get 3 of the 1080p older design ones, which again has a lot of the same functionality except for the deeper zoom and not as good facial recognition, you can get 3 of them for the price of 2. And you know, if you're already buying security cameras, you probably want as many as you can get. So that's a really good deal at this point, I would say, given how closely knit the software is on that one to this one. It's very similar in practice. Now, another thing to note is that there are lots of security cameras on the market. Logitech actually came out, and yes, Logitech, they're known for their mice, their keyboards and whatnot, but they came out recently with a security camera system that's a little bit more versatile, right? This particular unit is indoor only. The Nest outdoor only is outdoor only. I guess you can use it inside, but it's designed for outdoors. This Logitech one has different attachments. There's a wireless battery charger attachment. It's $199 for the base price, then you pay more to get the different accessories to clip onto it. This is very much an all-in-one solution. I really like it. I think the design is really slick. The features work really well. It's very intuitive. It's very easy to set up. It's a classic Nest product. It fits right into their growing ecosystem. And some people might say it's like the iPhone of security cameras. But the question is, are you really willing to spend $300 on a device that does what a $200 version with a slightly not as nice design can do? That's up to you, but for me personally, I would rather have 3 of last year's models than 2 of these at that same $500 total price point. Again, this was the Nest IQ with the 4K lens for deeper zoom, 1080p recording for $299. This was Gadgets with Gurman, and thank you so much for joining us. And please be sure to see my colleague Jordan Robertson's show, Digital Defense. It's every week, and he does a great job talking about privacy implications, hacks, all sorts of stuff in that nature, being able to secure your devices, passwords and whatnot. And I think it's really important in light of a lot of the news cycle right now in terms of user privacy to take a look at Jordan's show. And there were a lot of questions about the privacy implications about the Nest IQ, and Jordan would do a really good job outlining the importance of that. So please tune into him, and thank you for watching Gadgets with Gurman.